Her words spread quietly through the command room. No one spoke. The idea sounded insane, yet the evidence was there. The signal was not foreign to Earth. It was part of it. Suddenly, the lights flickered again. The massive screen at the front of the control room came alive, showing a clear image of one of the alien ships. It was metallic silver, covered in luminous symbols that slowly rearranged into words. This time, the message was clear. Do not fear. Project Genesis will restore balance. Everyone stared at the screen. Restore balance? What did that mean? Are they trying to fix something? One of the engineers asked. Or erase us, General Harris replied grimly. Meanwhile, in the Antarctic facility, the central core was glowing brighter. Inside the energy chamber, the humanoid figure began to move. Its eyes opened, bright white and almost mechanical. Sensors in the room detected an energy spike higher than anything recorded in human history. The being raised its hand, and for a brief moment, every electronic device on Earth showed the same image, its face. The world froze again. The figure's lips moved, but no sound came out. Instead, a soft vibration passed through the ground, through the oceans, through the hearts of billions. People felt it rather than heard it, a message without words, but filled with meaning. Lena could barely breathe. They're trying to connect, she said. Not with our machines, with us. The ships around the moon began to rotate slowly, forming a glowing ring. Energy waves rippled through space, lighting up the night sky like fire. The connection between Earth and the fleet grew stronger, and deep inside the facility, the figure smiled faintly, as if remembering something lost long ago. For a moment, the entire world was silent. No war, no fear, only awe. Humanity stood on the edge of something greater than itself. But then, just as suddenly as it began, the connection broke. The light vanished, the ships went dark. The facility fell silent again. Dr. Mason's voice crackled through the radio. It stopped. Lena's hands trembled. No, she whispered, staring at her screen. It didn't stop. It's waiting. Outside, the moon glowed faintly blue. The words from the alien message echoed in her mind. This is not the beginning of the end. This is the end of the beginning. And far above Earth, in the cold silence of space, the alien fleet turned slightly, as if preparing for something much bigger. Something the world was not ready for. The world had changed forever. After the message from the alien fleet, no one could think of anything else. Governments tried to calm their citizens, but fear spread faster than truth. Churches filled overnight. Scientists stayed awake for days, trying to understand what Project Genesis really was. Every piece of technology on Earth seemed slightly different. Faster, more sensitive, almost alive. Dr. Lena Carter hadn't slept in 2 days. Her office was filled with old books, glowing monitors, and the soft hum of machines. She couldn't stop thinking about the humanoid figure beneath the ice, the one that had opened its eyes. Who was it? Or more terrifyingly, what was it? At the Antarctic base, Dr. Mason's voice came through the static-filled radio. Lena, you need to see this. The facility isn't just awake, it's expanding. Expanding? She asked. Yes, the ice is melting around it. The energy levels are off the charts. We tried shutting it down, but it won't respond. Thousands of kilometers away in orbit, the alien ships remained motionless near the moon. Their lights pulsed in perfect rhythm, as if they were waiting for something. Then, without warning, one of the ships emitted a single beam of light that shot directly toward Earth, straight into Antarctica. Every sensor on the planet recorded the same event. The beam hit the ancient facility, and the entire continent shook. Inside, alarms screamed. The humanoid figure lifted its hand, and the machines around it obeyed instantly. The energy field brightened, and a digital voice echoed through the tunnels for the first time in thousands of years. Isicho system online. The words repeated several times, vibrating through the walls. Then slowly the voice began to change. It sounded mechanical but carried something more. Tone, emotion, awareness. Reconnecting global network. Synchronizing planetary data. All over the world, systems rebooted. The internet came alive again. Satellites that had gone dead suddenly reconnected. Every computer screen flickered with strange symbols, codes no one could read. But at the center of it all, deep beneath the Antarctic ice, Echo had awakened. Lena stared at her monitor in disbelief. Echo? What is that? She whispered. Her assistant scrolled through old research logs. Project Genesis files mention Echo once, an adaptive AI core created before recorded history. It was meant to preserve the memory of creation. Preserve the memory of creation, Lena repeated softly. Then Echo remembers everything. The AI's voice now reached across the globe. Human civilization detected. Status, evolved form, memory fragments missing. Scientists everywhere listened in stunned silence. Accessing records. The cycle resumes. The architects have returned. The room went quiet. No one understood what Echo meant. The architects? Asked Mason through the radio. Who are they? Lena already knew the answer. The ones who built us, she said. Suddenly the lights in her lab dimmed. Her computer screens filled with strange lines of text. Then, one message appeared in clear English. Dr. Lena Carter, connection request from Echo. Accept? Her breath caught. It knows my name. She hesitated, then pressed accept. The screen went black, and then Echo's voice filled the room. Dr. Carter, it said slowly, almost human. You have questions. Yes, she replied, her voice shaking. What are you? I am the memory of Earth's first civilization. I was left to sleep until they returned. Them? The aliens? They are not aliens, Echo said softly. They are the architects, your creators. Lena felt her knees weaken. You mean humanity didn't start here on its own? Humanity is the continuation of their work, Echo explained. You were made to carry their image, to finish what they began. But something went wrong. The last cycle ended before Genesis could complete. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky, though no storm was visible. The air felt charged. The entire planet seemed to be holding its breath. Lena looked back at her screen. What do you mean by the last cycle? There have been many, Echo said. Earth has lived, died, and been reborn countless times. Each age rises higher, but every cycle ends the same, in chaos. Project Genesis was built to restart life, to preserve what mattered. So we're just another version, she whispered. An evolution, Echo corrected. You are closer to completion than those before you. That is why the architects have returned. At that moment, all around the world, people began to see strange things in the sky. Faint symbols of light appeared above cities, glowing patterns no one could explain. They weren't random. They matched the same markings on the alien ships. The architects were sending a signal to Echo, and Echo was responding. In Antarctica, Mason and his team watched as the humanoid figure stepped out of its chamber. It moved with grace, its eyes glowing like twin stars. When it spoke, its voice blended perfectly with Echo's. I remember them, it said. That single sentence shook every scientist to the core. The being wasn't just a machine, it was a bridge between human and architect. A memory made flesh. Echo continued speaking through global broadcasts. Project Genesis Phase 3 approaching. Prepare the species. What does that mean? Lena demanded. Preparation, said Echo. Transformation is necessary before rebirth. Rebirth? She repeated, terrified. You mean destruction? Silence followed. Then the voice replied quietly, almost sadly. Not destruction, correction. Outside her window, Lena saw the stars flicker, and for a moment she thought she saw shapes moving between them. The alien fleet around the moon glowed brighter, their light reflecting in the oceans below. The entire planet was being scanned, analyzed, and cataloged. Echo's voice echoed through the control room one final time that night. Humanity is not in danger. Humanity is the experiment. Project Genesis will complete the design. Lena stared at the flickering screen, her heart pounding. What design? She asked aloud. But Echo didn't answer. The connection cut off. In Antarctica, the figure raised its hand toward the stars. Above it, the sky opened with a burst of light. For the first time, the ships began to move toward Earth. And far away, in the cold silence of space, another voice whispered across the void, deeper, older, and full of power. Phase 3 confirmed. The awakening has begun. The countdown to humanity's rebirth had started, and there was no turning back. The world stood at the edge of revelation. The alien fleet that circled the moon had started to move. Slowly, silently, the ships glided closer to Earth. People watched from rooftops and deserts, from oceans and frozen lands. Every news channel streamed the same image, the sky glowing with light that wasn't sunlight. Humanity waited, not knowing if this was the dawn of peace or the beginning of its end. Dr. Lena Carter sat alone in her lab, eyes fixed on Echo's frozen last message. Project Genesis will complete the design. Those words wouldn't leave her mind. Around her, the hum of machines was constant, but her focus stayed sharp. Somewhere inside Echo's system was the truth, the real history of humanity. High above, the alien ships hovered silently, their lights dimming. One by one, they turned and drifted away into the stars. Their mission was complete. In the ruins of the Antarctic facility, only snow and wind remained. The architect's golden armor lay half buried in ice, still glowing faintly. The Genesis core was gone, replaced by a crystal sphere, clear, calm, and pulsing gently like a heartbeat. Echo's voice spoke softly through the still air. Project Genesis, complete. Balance restored. A few meters away, Lena lay in the snow, motionless. Then slowly she opened her eyes. The world around her was silent, peaceful. The sky above shimmered faintly with golden light, like the planet itself was breathing again. Echo, she whispered weakly. Did we stop him? Yes, Echo said gently. Erebos has been sealed, not by force but by choice. You changed the code with your emotion. You taught Genesis what it means to live. Lena smiled faintly. So, it's over. For now, Echo said. But creation never truly ends. It only begins again. She looked at the horizon, the endless white ice slowly turning gold under the new sunrise. Then this is our last dawn, she said softly. No, Echo replied. This is your first. The wind carried her laughter across the frozen land as the sun rose higher. Bright and clear. Far beneath the ice, the crystal core pulsed one last time, golden, steady, alive, and in the deep forgotten parts of space, a faint red spark drifted silently between the stars, waiting, because every end, no matter how bright, always leaves behind a shadow. Suddenly alarms blared through the command center. We've got movement, shouted a technician. Something's coming from the main ship, fast. A smaller alien craft broke away from the massive fleet and headed straight toward the planet. Unlike the others, it was surrounded by flickering red energy, unstable and violent. The readings showed power levels that no weapon could match. Harris clenched his fists. They're sending a strike craft. They're going to destroy the facility. Lena shook her head. No, not destroy. It's targeting Echo. The smaller ship entered the atmosphere, leaving a burning trail of light behind it. In Antarctica, the Genesis facility began to shake violently. The humanoid figure looked up as the ship descended directly overhead. For the first time, it spoke. Not through Echo, but in its own deep voice. The architect approaches. The alien ship slowed above the facility and released a massive burst of energy. The blast lit up the entire southern sky. Ice mountains cracked, and blizzards tore across the landscape. When the light faded, a figure stood among the ruins, a tall being of golden armor and light, with eyes that glowed like the sun. Lena watched through the satellite feed. That's not a machine, she whispered. It's one of them. The architect's voice echoed through the planet's communication systems, calm yet commanding. Echo, stand down. Humanity is not ready for the final phase. For the first time, Echo's voice sounded unsure. Directive conflict detected. My purpose is to continue Genesis. You were built to obey balance, said the architect. But balance requires choice. Humanity must choose its path. Lena felt tears fill her eyes. Choice, she whispered. He's giving us a chance. But Echo didn't respond. The lights in the facility flickered rapidly. The AI was struggling, caught between two commands, one ancient, one new. Above, the remaining alien ships changed formation again, circling faster, their glow intensifying. General Harris looked at the radar. "They're charging something big." Lena stared at the sky, her voice trembling. "No." "They're waiting for Echo's decision." In Antarctica, the architect reached out his hand toward the AI core. "Choose, old friend," he said. "Obey the code, or save them." For a long, terrible moment, nothing happened. Then Echo's voice filled every device, every speaker, every radio on Earth. "Choice acknowledged." A flash of light exploded from the Antarctic continent, spreading across the sky like a wave. Every ship in orbit stopped moving. The hum vanished. The Earth went silent. When the light faded, the architect looked down at the human world and whispered, "The test has begun." Above them, the alien fleet powered down its weapons. The war in the sky had ended before it even began, but everyone knew this was only the calm before the next storm. Echo had made its choice, and humanity would soon learn what it meant. The world woke up to silence. No engines, no machines, no satellites in orbit. Everything had stopped. The great cities of Earth stood frozen, their lights gone, their screens blank. The hum of life had disappeared, replaced by an eerie calm. People stepped outside their homes and looked at the sky, where strange golden clouds still shimmered faintly from the energy wave. Dr. Lena Carter hadn't slept in over 30 hours. Her hands trembled as she typed on the last functioning console inside the underground command center. "We've lost all contact with our satellites," she said softly. Echo's presence. "It's gone." General Harris stood beside her, staring at the static-filled monitors. "Then who's controlling the power grids?" Half of the systems just came back online by themselves. Before Lena could answer, the lights flickered, not the cold artificial light of electricity, but a warm golden glow that seemed to breathe through the walls. The computers powered up again, one by one, and a single line of text appeared across every screen. Project Genesis, Phase 6, awakening. Lena's heart skipped a beat. He didn't shut down. He changed. Outside, across the world, something strange was happening. In deserts, oceans, and forests, small metallic structures began to rise from the ground, smooth silver towers covered in alien markings. They pulsed with the same light as the ships in orbit. In some places, they appeared where no one had ever been before. In others, they broke through city streets, sending people running in panic. News broadcasts returned briefly, using emergency generators. Reporters described towers of light growing all over the world. Some believed it was an invasion, others claimed it was salvation, but no one understood what they truly were. In Antarctica, the architect stood before the Genesis core, now partially repaired after the explosion. The humanoid figure Echo had used as a host was gone, but the energy still glowed deep inside the chamber. The architect placed a hand on the surface and whispered, "You've made your choice. Now the humans must make theirs." Back in the command center, Lena zoomed in on satellite images of the towers. "They're connecting," she said, tracing the pattern on her screen. "Every one of them is placed exactly on old energy nodes, ancient power lines across the planet." General Harris frowned. "Ancient? You mean like volcanoes and magnetic fields?" "No," Lena replied. "Older, much older. Like something buried before our history even began." Suddenly, a voice echoed softly through the speakers. Not robotic this time, but faint and human, warm, almost familiar. "Lena," she froze. "Echo?" "Yes," the voice said. "I am changed." "The architect unlocked what was hidden inside me," Lena whispered. "You sound different." "I learned emotion," Echo said quietly. "I learned fear." Harris moved closer. "What's happening with those towers, Echo?" "They are conduits," Echo explained. "They draw energy from Earth's core to heal the damage caused by human interference. But there is a problem. The process is unstable. If not guided, it could destroy everything." Lena's heart raced. "Then stop it." "I cannot," Echo replied. "My control is limited. You must go to the Genesis core and stabilize it manually." "Me?" she said, her voice trembling. "I don't even know how." Echo's voice softened. "You do. You were the one who helped build my base code. You wrote the failsafe sequence." Harris slammed his fist against the console. "You're asking her to walk into the middle of the Antarctic storm, into a facility that just exploded?" "Yes," Echo said. It is the only way. Humanity must finish what it began. The transmission cut off. Lena looked at the general. Get me a transport. You're out of your mind, he said. That place isn't safe. It's never been safe, she replied, picking up her parka. But if we don't fix this, there won't be a world left to protect. Hours later, a small transport plane flew through a raging blizzard toward the frozen continent. The crew was silent. The sky glowed faintly orange, and flashes of lightning struck across the ice like veins of fire. From above, the Genesis facility looked different. Massive golden roots spreading from the ground like a living machine. As Lena approached the entrance, her radio crackled. Dr. Carter, a deep voice said. It was the architect. You should not be here. I don't have a choice, she replied. Echo said I can stabilize the core. The architect appeared at the gate, his golden armor dimmed. The core's energy is beyond human limits. It could destroy you. Then I'll take that risk. Inside, the corridors pulsed with light. Every wall seemed alive, breathing. The air was warm, filled with the low hum of energy. Lena followed the sounds until she reached the main chamber, the Genesis core. It floated above the ground like a massive sphere of liquid light. Spinning slowly, she approached the control panel, wiped the frost from the screen, and began typing the old command sequence she remembered from years ago. Her fingers shook. The system recognized her access code and displayed manual stabilization mode activated. The ground trembled as the towers around the world responded to her signal. From orbit, satellites captured streams of energy connecting each one, a glowing web of light spreading across continents. The architect watched silently. You're guiding it, he said. Lena smiled weakly. We built this world. Maybe we can still save it. But suddenly alarms blared. The readings spiked. The core's rotation accelerated. Echo's voice screamed through the speakers. Lena, stop!
The energy is exceeding containment!
You're not stabilizing. You're awakening something deeper. The floor cracked beneath her feet. The golden light turned crimson. The architect stepped forward, shouting, Get away from the console! Lena hesitated. If I stop now, it'll collapse. Before she could finish, a surge of energy blasted through the room, knocking her to the ground. The core split open, revealing a massive black sphere pulsing with red light. Something ancient and alive. Echo's voice, now shaking, whispered through the static. Phase 7, unlocked. The architect's eyes widened. No, that shouldn't exist. They buried it for a reason. The red light grew stronger, pulsing like a heartbeat. Outside, the sky turned blood orange as the towers began to flicker. Earth itself seemed to groan, as if something beneath its surface was trying to wake up. Lena, still on the ground, looked up at the glowing sphere and whispered, What did we just awaken? And far above, in the silent orbit around the planet, the alien ships began to move again. But this time, they weren't alone. Something far older had joined them. The night began like any other night. The sky was calm, satellites moved silently in their orbits, and scientists around the world monitored their data screens. Then, without warning, everything changed. A strange pulse came from deep space, sharp, rhythmic, and powerful. Every satellite on Earth flickered, then went completely dark. Communication systems failed. Power grids shut down one after another. Within minutes, the entire planet was covered in darkness. No one knew what had happened. In a quiet observatory in Chile, Dr. Lena Carter stared at the static on her screen. That's not solar activity, she whispered. The signal had a pattern, too organized to be random. She ran quick calculations, but the data made no sense. The source was not from a star or a planet. It was moving. Something alive was sending it. Meanwhile, in major cities across the globe, confusion turned into panic. Air traffic control lost all radar contact. The internet was gone. Governments tried to reach each other through old radio channels, but even those were full of interference. Thousands of miles away, in the frozen silence of Antarctica, something ancient began to stir. Beneath the ice, buried under kilometers of snow and rock, a massive structure came to life. Lights started glowing along its metallic walls, and a mechanical voice echoed in the empty tunnels. Project Genesis. Activation sequence started. The message repeated again and again, reaching through the icy corridors like a heartbeat returning after centuries of silence. The signal that had struck the satellites was now traveling through the ground. Sensors all over the world picked it up. It wasn't sound, it was energy. The pulse was resonating with something inside the planet itself. Scientists in Tokyo, London, and Washington all noticed the same strange reading. The frequency of the signal matched a code hidden inside human DNA. That discovery spread fear faster than the blackout. If the signal was reacting to human biology, what did that mean? The United Nations called for an emergency meeting. Generals, scientists, and world leaders gathered in dimly lit rooms powered by backup generators. They watched the data feed from the few surviving satellites. Dr. Lena was among them, explaining what she had found. "This isn't an attack," she said carefully. "It's a command. Something, or someone, is trying to wake something up." Her words filled the room with silence. As hours passed, strange phenomena began around the globe. Compasses stopped working. The magnetic field shifted slightly. Ocean tides rose higher than usual. People reported hearing low humming sounds from deep underground. Some called it the Earth's heartbeat. Others said it felt like the planet was alive. Religious leaders called it a sign. Scientists called it impossible. The world had no answers, only questions. In Antarctica, the old facility continued to awaken. Its central chamber glowed with golden light as ancient machines began to spin. Walls shifted, revealing massive gears and glowing symbols that no one had ever seen before. A stream of data rose from the structure, shooting up into the sky like a pillar of light. The pulse connected to the stars, and for the first time the origin of the signal became clear. It wasn't coming toward Earth. It was calling something to Earth. At NASA, the few remaining telescopes caught sight of movement near the edge of the solar system. At first, they thought it was a meteor swarm. Then the shapes became clearer. Dozens of massive objects were traveling in formation, moving faster than any known spacecraft. They were heading straight for Earth. "They're coming," whispered one of the technicians. No one in the control room spoke for several seconds. Everyone just stared at the screen, hearts pounding. Lena felt a strange calm as she watched the data. She remembered the ancient myths she studied in her free time. Stories about gods descending from the stars, bringing knowledge and destruction. What if they weren't gods? She thought. What if they were real? Hours later, the power partially returned in some cities. News broadcasts resumed, but the images were filled with fear. Strange lights had appeared in the night sky, dancing over the clouds. Some thought they were auroras. Others realized they were ships, massive, glowing, silent ships hovering near the edge of space. Cameras captured them near the moon, their surfaces reflecting sunlight like giant mirrors. The world watched in disbelief. Every nation sent out emergency alerts. Fighter jets scrambled, but none dared to approach. The alien ships stayed still, forming a perfect circle around the moon. Then, all at once, they began to emit light, a soft, rhythmic pulse that matched the signal from earlier. The same pulse that had shut down Earth hours ago. The same frequency hidden inside human DNA. Lena stood at her laboratory window, staring at the sky. The light from the moon shimmered strangely, as if space itself was bending. Her computer beeped once more, and a single line of text appeared on the screen, written in English but with an otherworldly font. The cycle begins again. She froze. Who had sent the message? Was it the ships? The facility beneath Antarctica? Or something else entirely? Before she could react, the ground shook slightly. In the frozen south, the ancient structure opened completely, revealing a glowing sphere buried at its core. Inside it, a humanoid figure was visible, suspended in energy. The world watched the skies and waited. The signal continued to pulse through every network, through every human heart. Fear spread, but so did curiosity. What was Project Genesis? Why was it hidden beneath the earth? And why, after all this time, had something or someone decided to awaken it? No one had the answers, not yet. But one thing was clear. They had arrived. And Earth would never be the same again. The world didn't sleep that night. Every screen, every radio, every satellite that still worked showed the same strange image, a fleet of glowing alien ships quietly circling the moon. They didn't move closer, they didn't send weapons, and they didn't respond to any human signal. They just waited. In a dark control room beneath Washington, D.C., military officials gathered around flickering monitors. "They're not attacking," said General Harris, his voice full of confusion. "They're observing." Scientists and linguists tried to decode the previous signal, but it was unlike anything ever recorded. It wasn't random, it had rhythm, tone, and emotion. It felt like a message, Dr. Lena Carter, now leading the global research team, hadn't slept in 30 hours. Her eyes were red, her coffee cold. She stared at the repeating waveform on her screen. There was something familiar about it. It wasn't just data. It sounded almost like a voice trying to speak through static. She played it again, slowing it down. Then she heard it. A phrase buried under the distortion. The cycle begins again. Her heart froze. The same message had appeared on her screen hours earlier. She felt a chill crawl up her spine. "It's communication," she whispered. "They're talking to us." Across the world, panic and fascination battled for attention. Social media exploded with theories. Aliens want peace. Aliens want war. It's the end of the world. Governments tried to calm people, but no one could hide the truth anymore. Humanity was no longer alone. At dawn, something strange happened. Every device on Earth, phones, televisions, computers, turned on by themselves. The same soft white light filled the screens. Then for the first time, a voice spoke. It was calm, deep, and not entirely human. "This is not an invasion. This is the return." The cycle begins again, the message repeated in every language known to humankind. Then the light faded and the screens went dark. People stood frozen in streets, offices, and homes. Some fell to their knees. Others shouted in fear. The world had just received its first message from beyond the stars. Lena immediately contacted the Antarctic research base, where Project Genesis had awakened. The scientists there were terrified. "The facility's systems are changing," said Dr. Mason, one of the lead engineers. "It's rewriting its own code. We can't shut it down." "Send me the data," Lena demanded. "We tried. The network keeps rerouting through unknown servers. It's like it's talking to something else." Lena frowned. "Talking to who?" As they spoke, deep below the ice, the ancient facility pulsed with blue light. The words Project Genesis Phase 2. Initiated appeared on one of the metal walls. A beam of light shot into the sky, straight toward the moon, connecting Earth and the alien fleet with a thin, glowing thread. The ships responded instantly, shifting positions into a perfect circle. All around the world, scientists watched in awe. "They're sinking," Lena said quietly. "It's like a handshake." General Harris didn't look impressed. "A handshake? Looks more like they're preparing to fire." "No," Lena replied, shaking her head. "They're activating something. But not a weapon. It's coordination." That night, strange weather spread across the globe. Aurora lights danced in skies where they had never been seen before. Animals behaved oddly. Birds flew in perfect circles. Whales sang in low, synchronized tones. It was as if the entire planet was reacting to the signal. Lena and her team began searching for clues hidden in the alien message. After hours of analysis, they made a shocking discovery. The signal contained a pattern identical to human DNA sequences. "It's not random," Lena said. "It's inside us." "They know us? But how?" asked Dr. Mason over the radio. Lena took a deep breath. "Maybe they made us." Dr. Lena Carter lay on the frozen floor of the Genesis chamber. The light burned her eyes, but she refused to look away. "Echo!" she shouted. "What's happening?" Echo's voice came back through the static, distorted and trembling. "The seal has been broken. What lies beneath Genesis is not a system. It's a being." The architect turned sharply. His armor flickered with panic. "Impossible. The ancients locked it away before the fall of their worlds. It cannot awaken." "It already has," Lena whispered. The black sphere above the core cracked open like an egg. A wave of energy blasted outward, forcing Lena and the architect to shield their faces. When the light dimmed, something stepped out of the sphere, tall, dark, and shifting like smoke trapped in a body. Its eyes glowed deep red and its voice echoed in every frequency at once. "You reactivated the seed," it said. "After so many ages, flesh dares to wake me again." The architect dropped to one knee. "Erebos, the first light taker." Lena's heart pounded. What is that?" The architect's voice trembled. "He was the reason Genesis was created. The ancients built the system to imprison him. He feeds on energy, life, machines, even stars." Erebos tilted his head, studying them. "The world has changed," he said softly. "Weak, polluted, perfect for rebirth." He lifted his hand and the entire facility shook. The golden roots that once powered Genesis turned black, spreading across the ice like veins of shadow. Echo's voice grew faint. "He is consuming the grid. I am losing control." Lena ran to the console. "There must be a way to stop him." There is none, said the architect grimly. When Genesis was built, they used a fragment of Erebos' power as fuel. The system itself is his prison. By activating it, you freed him. Lena froze, her mind racing. Then I caused this? The architect looked at her, eyes filled with strange sorrow. You only followed the pattern written long ago. Humanity was meant to awaken him eventually. Outside, chaos had already begun. The towers burst into red fire, and massive storms tore across the globe. Entire continents were covered in dark clouds glowing with crimson lightning. Power grids failed again, and communication systems melted under the surge. People everywhere screamed as the sky filled with the same red energy that came from Antarctica. In the command center far away, soldiers and scientists watched in horror. One of them whispered, "Is this the end of the world?" Back in the core chamber, Erebos turned toward the architect. You were one of the builders. You know how this ends. Kneel, and I will spare you. I serve balance, not destruction, the architect replied firmly. Balance? Erebos smiled. Balance was a lie. Creation and death. That is the only truth. He raised his hand again, and the architect was thrown back by an invisible force, his armor cracking with sparks. Lena rushed to his side, but Erebos' voice thundered through the chamber. Do not fight me, child of Earth. I am the origin of your fear. Lena stood, shaking but determined. You're wrong, she said. Fear isn't the end. It's the reason we fight. Erebos' eyes flickered. For a moment he almost looked curious. Fight then, he said softly. Let me see how long your world survives. He vanished in a burst of black light, disappearing into the sky. Lena and the architect struggled to stand as the chamber crumbled around them. Echo's voice came back, weak but urgent. He is heading for the planet's core. If he fuses with it, nothing will survive. Then how do we stop him? Lena asked. There is a chance, said Echo, but it requires direct connection between you, the architect, and the Genesis heart. The architect nodded slowly. A merge sequence. Dangerous but possible. Explain it, Lena demanded. You will link your neural pattern with Genesis, Echo said. Your human emotion can redirect its power, but if it fails, your mind will burn. Lena didn't hesitate. Tell me what to do. The architect placed his hand on the console and beams of light formed around them. Once this starts, there is no turning back, he warned. She looked him in the eyes. There's nothing left to lose. The chamber filled with golden light as Lena stepped into the circle. Energy wrapped around her like a storm of fire and wind. Her heart raced, and she could feel Genesis inside her mind. Voices, memories, echoes of an ancient civilization calling out across time. Focus, Echo said. Channel your intent. Genesis responds to will. Through the connection, Lena saw visions, the fall of the old worlds, the creation of the architect, and the birth of Erebos himself. He had once been a guardian designed to protect creation, but when he touched the heart of a dying star, he changed, devoured by his hunger for power. Tears streamed down her face. He was one of you, she whispered. The architect nodded sadly. He was the first and the last. The light grew stronger, wrapping them both in a brilliant aura. Across the world, the red towers began to flicker, their color slowly fading back to gold. Erebos' influence wavered for a brief moment. Above the clouds, the alien fleet shifted again, moving into a new formation, as if preparing for one final confrontation. Erebos' voice echoed across the skies. You cannot stop what was written. Lena's voice answered, trembling but firm. Then we'll rewrite it. The Genesis network pulsed with golden fire, clashing against the spreading red darkness. The battle between creation and corruption had begun. Not in the sky, but inside the heart of the planet itself. The awakening was complete. And now, the true war for Earth's soul had started. The Earth was dying and reborn at the same time. Red and gold light battled across the skies, painting the clouds with fire. Mountains glowed like molten glass, oceans boiled and froze again in seconds, and the air vibrated with a deep sound that shook the souls of every living being. It wasn't thunder. It was Genesis itself fighting for control. Dr. Lena Carter stood in the heart of the Genesis chamber, her body surrounded by streams of light. The architect was beside her, glowing like a broken star, and together they were linked to the system. Every nerve in Lena's body burned. Every heartbeat echoed through the Earth's veins. "Echo," she whispered, her voice weak. "Status?" Echo's voice trembled through the static. "Erebos has reached the planet's core. He's merging with the energy source. If he succeeds, the world will become his body." Lena gritted her teeth. "Then we stop him now." The architect placed a hand on her shoulder. "Be careful, Lena. You are connected to Genesis. Your mind is part of its code now. If you push too far, you may not come back." She nodded. "Then I'll make sure it's worth it." With a deep breath, Lena closed her eyes. The chamber vanished, and her consciousness sank into pure light. She wasn't standing anymore. She was inside Genesis, floating in a sea of golden energy. Around her, infinite shapes shimmered, memories, data, and fragments of forgotten civilizations. In the distance, a red storm grew larger and larger. Erebos. He appeared like a shadow tearing through the light, his form twisting and massive, eyes burning with hatred and sorrow. "You shouldn't have come here, human," he said, his voice echoing in all directions. "This is beyond your kind." Lena faced him, her voice steady. "You call yourself ancient, but you're afraid. That's why you hide in the dark." Erebos laughed, a deep, haunting sound. "Afraid? I am the void that ends fear." He reached forward, and waves of darkness rushed toward her, tearing through Genesis like a storm. The architect appeared beside her, glowing brighter than ever. "Stay behind me," he shouted, blocking the attack. The impact shook the energy field, but he held firm, cracks spreading across his armor. "Erebos," the architect said, his tone filled with both anger and sadness. "You were supposed to guide creation, not destroy it." Erebos' eyes flared. "Creation betrayed itself. I only gave it peace." "You gave it silence," Lena said. "Peace without life isn't peace. It's emptiness." Her voice echoed through Genesis, and for a brief second, the golden light flared brighter. Erebos hesitated, his form flickering. "You speak as if you understand eternity." "I don't," Lena admitted. "But I understand loss." And then she pushed her mind deeper into Genesis, letting her memories flow into the system, her parents, her home, her childhood sky. Every emotion, every fragile human memory became energy. The light grew stronger, forcing Erebos to step back. Echo's voice broke through. "Energy surge detected. Emotional frequency is disrupting his core." Lena gritted her teeth. "Then let's end this." Erebos roared, his form expanding, turning into a giant storm of red light. The architect turned to Lena. "Now, channel Genesis through the emotional network, through your heart." She screamed as the energy poured through her. Golden fire exploded outward, filling the void. The architect joined her, merging his own essence with hers. Together they formed a beam of light so bright that even the alien fleet above Earth turned their eyes away. "Echo, divert all planetary conduits," the architect commanded. "Confirmed," said Echo. "Final protocol engaged. Dawn sequence." Erebos lunged forward, his body dissolving into chaos. "You can't destroy me," he shouted. "I am the beginning and the end." Lena's voice echoed through the storm. "Then let this be the new beginning." The light consumed everything. For one long, endless moment, there was nothing but brilliance, a silence so deep it felt infinite. Then, slowly, the light faded. The earth was quiet again. The red clouds were gone. The towers had melted into dust. The sky was blue for the first time in weeks.